That must be possibly the heaviest socket I think I've ever picked up.
Well, that's for good reason, because today we're going high-end. We're looking at the Linea range from Hamilton.
I'm quite heavy. Does that make me high-end?
I don't think it quite applies to people, Gary, but if you speak to an architect or an interior designer, they'll suggest that you spend money on the things that people touch, because it's that feel that reflects the quality of the building. What do people spend money on? Taps. Incredibly, you can see there's some incredibly expensive taps out there. Bathroom fittings in general, door handles. And why shouldn't switches and sockets be part of that process? Because it's something we probably touch a number of times every day.
Yeah, and I didn't think we could level up from the Perception range that we looked at previously that Hamilton offer. And believe it or not, I know you're looking very closely, there's actually a 4-gang light switch and a twin socket outlet on that wall, but it blends in seamlessly. And I believe we've leveled up with this Linea range.
Yeah, I will leave a link in the description below to that video if you want to see Gary wallpapering. Then that is an absolute treat to watch. But back to this range, you know, this is again, if you don't like wallpapering but you still want a high-end finish, this is the range for you. And I mean, how many finishes are we looking at here that you can possibly have, Gary?
There's that many, even we can't remember them. So we're going to leave a link to those finishes in the description. I think it's your imagination's the only thing that's going to hold you back. And it's the subtle little details that we're going to drill into next, the actual frames themselves. Should we take a look at that?
Let's have a closer look at some of these edge details. It's all about the detail. So first up, we've got the duo finish there, which is a very flat edge return.
Okay, and it matches the socket finish, but you don't have to do that, do you?
No, you don't, Gary. It's a bit like when you bought your Porsche. It was the, you can have your seat stitching in a different colour to your leather. So here's brass rondo finish, which is quite a nice round edge to it, but the rockers in the matching brass as well.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice detail, doesn't it?
And obviously inserts, yeah, there's lots of different colours of inserts available now as well, so I can take it to another level. So here's a style you might be familiar with, Gary.
Okay, I've not seen it in this finish. That's normally the one I associate with maybe brass.
Yeah, so this is the Georgian sort of rope edge detail with a highly polished front plate, or as we like to call them, the line of duty front plates, because H was eventually caught because he left his fingerprints on a highly polished switch.
Okay, nice detail there as well from you. Yep.
And then we've got the Scala finish. So again, this is a matching one of the 4 bronze finishes, but you'll see there's a little stepped detail.
Yeah, I like that. That's really nice. It's so subtle that until you really look, you don't really appreciate what it gives to the actual accessory, do you? That's lovely.
And then rounding off our trim plate options is the Polina, which I guess is a sort of heading towards that Georgian finish, but not quite as heavy a detail. And again, we've got that with a brass on brass option.
Yeah. Shall we take a closer look now of how that detail actually works?
Yeah, well, I'm torn here, Gary. I don't know which one to look at. I've got one type of bronze here out of the 4 different possible bronze finishes I could possibly have, but I think I'll plumb for this one. Let's have a closer look. First thing not to remember is this. It's not part of the packaging, is it?
No, it isn't.
No, so this goes on the wall. Say if you've got a plaster wall and you don't want it to react with the metal finish, particularly if it's a new building, there's still a bit of moisture in there, so don't forget that. But just to see how that detail works. So this is the detail we've just looked at. Now let's just remember on the socket outlets, these are sort of custom built to order, so it's not something you'll expect to find on the shelf because there's so many options available. But there's our back plate detail. If I remove the front cover, it's the 4-point fixing we're used to seeing on the Hamilton products. Here's the switch that we've looked at in lots of videos before. You get the usual things you'd expect on there. Easy to wire, very visible, easy to identify your terminals. That just clips into the mounting frame. So you'll see that there, there's some little spigots at the top there. Again, that just positions itself in there, and then once you've put your front plate screws in.
There's something quite satisfying about this, isn't it, as it clips into place.
It just clicks into place. I mean, that looks gorgeous.
It does look gorgeous.
Should you need to remove it again, perhaps you didn't get it level the first time, you need to make some adjustments, it's just a screwdriver into there, and you can then get into remove the front plate as well.
Yeah, quality, 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 I would suggest there. Now, behind us, we've got a lovely rig, and we've been using this rig in some of our other videos. Now, we've paired it with a couple of dimmers over there. Have you done any adjustments at low end that we've talked about in other videos?
No, I haven't, but this is a special front plate that Hamilton have made. So this is a combination of dimmer switches and some standard switch elements. They also do Euro module in the range there, which we've got here with the TV outlets in.
Do they do grid switches as well?
And there's grid switches as well, the traditional grid switches. So this is a bit of a combination here, but again shows that mix and match and the things that Hamilton will do, especially for those high-end projects. But we've paired it with these dimmable incandescent style LED lamps. And at the top here, you've got some LED strip.
Wow, I didn't think you'd go there, but go on then.
All dimmed through a phase dimmed LED driver, and just so again, if you can do things with apps and things like that, but a lot of people just like a switch by the door, and again, so the LED strip.
So that's straight away dimming that LED. It's out the box.
Yeah, I haven't trimmed the low end, and again the switch as well. So you may want to trim the low end for the cut-off point, but
sign of quality for me.
That works pretty well. So we've got that paired up with some 5-amp sockets. So again, if we're looking at high-end projects, you'll probably see a lot of these scattered around so people can plug in table lamps and everything else. So yeah, the 5-amp socket lives on. And at the other end of the scale for our modern devices, we've got the USB outlets as well. So this is a combination of black with a bronze and a bronze surround.
I think that's possibly my favourite, but I am torn because this one is also absolutely beautiful as well. Another bronze finish we've got here. Yeah, lovely.
But as ever with Hamilton, they've got all of your possible wiring accessory needs covered. We've got the fuse spurs, things like you'd expect to see in things like kitchens. Got your favourite there, Gary, the dolly switch, haven't you? I mean, that is heavy.
Yeah, it is quality, I would suggest. And I do like that. I think that's how a switch should operate a lighting system within a property. I think that's wonderful.
I could see that in your library, Gary.
Yeah, if only I had a library, that would be the one, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But as ever, it's not what we think. It's what you think. Are you lucky enough to be fitting this Linea range from Hamilton? If you are, we'd like to come round and see those installations, because from what we've seen, these end up in some quality establishments that you may not even be allowed to talk about. If you can't do that, well, put some comments below, let us know what you think, and Gary will try and answer all of them.